Welcome to Real Lives Touched by Addiction with your hosts, Jen McCutcheon, Luke Loughlin, Lainne Love, and Sandra Murray. This 6-part series exists to bring truth, compassion, and real solutions to conversations around addiction that families, communities, and systems have avoided for far too long. Addiction isn't just an individual struggle. It's a family, community, and generational issue, and too many people are navigating it in silence, feeling overwhelmed and alone. Through real stories, lived experience, trauma-informed insight, and evidence-based framework, we're exploring the most misunderstood truths about addiction and family healing. And you're invited to join us. Listen, reflect, and take small but powerful steps towards real healing and change. So, let us begin. All right, welcome back, guys, to part 4 of our 6-part series, Real Lives Touched by Addiction. We're 4 voices coming together to share our lived experience, and we want you to be on this journey with us. So welcome, everybody. Super excited to be here. And today we are diving into family patterns. Family patterns. This is, I know, it's such an exciting topic. I feel like this is a big topic, as each of the parts that we've explored already have been. But I love when it all starts to come together, right? So everything that we've been talking about from the first episode, which we covered, is addiction a choice or a disease? We talked about lots of different things. So as we continue to popcorn through this beautiful conversation around how family patterns showed up in our lives, what we all have experienced and what we have learned through moving through addiction and mental health and our struggles, our traumas, all the stuff, we can help, just shed light on it from our lived experience. So yeah, who wants to popcorn this out and go first? Don't fight over it.
I'm going to start just because I don't know, it's interesting
Love it.
because I think about family patterns and I'm not sure what you guys are going to say, but there wasn't addiction in my family. So where did it come from? Um, it's interesting though, although this generation, my son's generation, there has been a little bit more. So I'm just going to put that out there. So I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say, and maybe something will come up for me. Because I find it very fascinating because through the people that I have met over the years, there are those patterns that you could obviously see. And so maybe there's patterns in my life that I'm not actually seeing. So open me
Mm.
up. I'm ready.
Well, I love this topic because this is my signature framework, legacy coding. That's the work that I do on the day to day is all based on family patterns, ancestral patterns, and bringing in more of like that spiritual context because that's what I really deeply resonate with. I'm always the most curious about the root cause of something. I find that really the most interesting. I know all elements are interesting. That's just what I gravitate towards. So family patterns, what's really interesting as you're talking about, Sandra, like what's going on right now, is we have a lot of people coming in that are their work is, their mission is, their life's work is to come in and transmute and heal these family patterns. As collectively, we're all looking to shift and raise our vibration and create new systems. What happens within that, in order for us to be able to do that, is we have to come in and help to heal our lineage. Obviously, we also want to integrate the wisdom. So we talk a lot, I feel anyways. It's been my experience that when we're talking about the past, a lot of times we're focusing on more of the challenges or maybe the perceived more negative patterns that have been passed down. But there's also been a lot of like strength and a lot of wisdom that has also been passed down. And we never want to just like let those things go. We always want to be able to acknowledge and integrate. And even in a pattern that we perceive to be negative, there's wisdom there and there's opportunity for strength and growth to draw from there. So, in terms of patterns, like does addiction and mental health, has that been a pattern in my family history? A very deep pattern, a very multi generational. And I believe that part of the work that I'm here to do is to help to heal that lineage. And the really cool thing is when you come in and you look at a pattern and you invest your consciousness and energy into healing that and transmuting it, then you create an effect that goes forwards and backwards in time, where you're able to rewrite your family history and your family story and create some healing for your ancestors, the ones that came before you and the ones that are going to come after you. And I find that a really curious and empowering viewpoint to come from. So anytime you make a change, and it doesn't have to be like change doesn't have to be, wow, I completely overcame that, like that doesn't exist anymore. Any step that you take towards healing, towards transmuting something or healing something, whatever word resonates most with you, is still creating that ripple effect of change, and it is creating change. So, if you're like, all I was able to do is this little thing, that's amazing. You're a
Mm,
superstar. You've come here and you have
Mm.
created change. And I'd like to also just celebrate that, as I know that's been a challenge in my life, is I think everything has to be like so big. And if it's not big, then I haven't done anything.
yeah.
But if I look back, I'm like, well, actually I have taken like 50 little steps. Like that's amazing. It didn't get the big explosion at the end that I was hoping for. Um, but it is quite significant, and I am so proud of myself. So because that's what I'm working on within myself and being kinder to myself. Perhaps it's something that you're going to need too, as every little step is really making a significant impact. And you don't have to, just because it existed in your family before, doesn't mean that you have to do it. And I don't even believe that the chances of you exhibiting that trait or behavior are even stronger. You can choose to create change at any time. Just because my great great grandparents and my great grandparents and my grandparents and my parents did a thing, it doesn't mean automatically I have to do that thing or I'm going to do that thing. It's still a choice. And I think that bleeds back into our conversation about disease, epigenetics, whether the conditions are there that uh, that help to, what's the word I'm looking for here?
If you're
Give life to that specific trait. You don't have to. You don't have to choose that.
aspirated.
That doesn't have to actually actualize. You can still choose something different. So I find that really, really empowering.
Yeah.
And I love reminding myself and others of that constantly, because I feel like that comes up a lot in conversation. It's almost like this disempowerment. Oh, well, it was my parents and my grandparents, and so it's just automatically I'm just going to fall into that, or it's going to be harder for me. That's not true. You can choose
Mhm.
change at any point. And that is what I'll have to say about that.
Yes.
That was awesome, Lainey. I like really like how you point out right away. Like sometimes when we talk on these topics, you kind of look for like the negative thing. So like when I first read these topics, family patterns, my head goes like, what patterns are like unhealthy right away? But the more and more I reflect, like recently I've been really trying to see the good in like everything. Like, because I can sometimes, the way my language is when I'm sharing a part of like my past through addiction, I can sometimes my wording can be like it was all bad. Like I was a complete menace to society, like almost had no good in me, which that's not true. Like there was good in me. There was this pureness in me that was, covered up with some stuff, right? That I had to do the work when I got sober. to uncover and become who I'm meant to be. But I think about like my family and like the generations, like how much like growing up, like you learn things from like your parents and they're nurturing you, and like you definitely bring those things with you. And when there's a lot of loving traits that I've got from my parents that I can see that I have today, even my siblings, and you can tell that they've gotten them from their parents. And then when you do come down to some of the behaviors or something, or the way coping mechanisms, um, that aren't really healthy, I can never like blame sometimes the people. Like I always feel like family members are trying their best with what they know until like you have some sort of like awakening of like, I don't want to be like this anymore. And there's also some traits with like family patterns that I'm like, that's affecting me the way I'm acting this like outright. And I've like developed a certain way to whether it's communicate, any way of like me living my life, and identifying that pattern is like the most important thing. Like I'm a very, very, very big overthinker, and I was somebody that could hold on to like grudges and resentments, and I have a family member who is like that as well. And I'm sure they've got that like passed down, and I knew that pattern for me was something that was like destroying me. Like it was very unhealthy how I can hold on to that. And like you said, like the choice, right? Like there is a choice to not live like that and to break that cycle and to break that pattern. But I have to identify this pattern first, where there was years I was so blind that I was doing this. And what you said, I would say like, well, so and so's like this, I just got it. Like this is how I'm gonna be, which is not true, right? And trying to practice like self-compassion for some of maybe the traits that aren't so pretty, um, that I don't like, that I might see or I've developed through experience with families, like having that self-compassion of like this is going to take time to try and rewire, especially when it can still be there in your life, pretty much being played by somebody you love very much, right? And it's like, trying to change that. And if I can't change it right away with doing the work, I can get very hard on myself. So I feel like self-compassion for that's very important. And then like setting the boundaries with it of like, just because this is how somebody deals with something doesn't mean I have to deal with it that way.
Mm.
Because now I'm aware of it, right? And
Yeah.
and want to live that way because I can see how maybe it can affect other people, and like practicing that forgiveness with it, like I will beat myself up, or be like, oh my God, I'm just like so and so, like, and it's like, man, it's not a bad thing. Like we're aware of it right now, and how can we change it? And maybe the fact of breaking certain patterns can also maybe help somebody that came before us to maybe have interest in breaking their own pattern, or kind of be like, hey, what's going on over here? Like, what are you up to? And I always never wanted to like, if it's parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, like fully like blame them for maybe the way they're living. Because sometimes like our eyes might be open, but we might not be actually be awake to like what we're doing. And it's just been passed down and passed down. And I know my parents have tried to do better than what they had, right? And it is my like where I'm in my life, it's my job to continue like doing the work I do to break those patterns. And I'm sure if I have a family and have kids, there might be a thing or two that they're like, whoa, I like how dad handled that, right? Like I'm human, but that self-compassion's got to come out. But I want to change. We have a choice to change these things, and in doing so can help, either it's the family member or it's somebody who's listening to this podcast that can help them change. And I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I mean, Lainey, I'm so much aligned with a lot of, what you said. And again, the work that I do is really about breaking generational patterns, our own patterns, but recognizing and becoming aware of these patterns that have been passed down, right? Not oftentimes unintentionally. It's like not like our family members like, we're gonna pass this, I want to pass this shit down. It's unintentional. And just like I have unintentionally passed down patterns to my children, like it's not from a place of blame, which people can get caught up, and that is part of the healing process. I just want to start off by saying,
Mhm.
when we start to do this work, it can feel, and actually there's a lot of resistance to looking at family patterns because it feels wrong to call to to call up instead of out, but call up and start to witness and acknowledge with things within your family, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, and looking around. Like I come from a huge family, 15 aunts and uncles. My grandmother had 15 children, and that's just on one side, like my dad's side. My mom has six. So when you look at a family and you start to do this work, it's not about calling out other people. It's actually about calling up yourself. It's actually about saying, okay, where am I seeing patterns outside of me? Because when I start to recognize people's patterns, then it helps me to actually to look at myself. How am I contributing to this pattern? Am I acting in the same way, behaving in the same way? It's actually less about blaming, it's more about awareness and starting to understand some of the behaviors that you keep repeating. So like when we're saying we're trapped in this cycle and I keep repeating this cycle, it's like that cycle's coming from somewhere. And the more you can step outside of it, from coming from a perspective of blaming your family, your past lineage, and more from understanding them and yourself. It takes that I'm bad because it triggers these patterns will trigger the deeper parts of the wounds within you. And I feel like most people don't even want to go here because right away they're shaming themselves for blaming their parents. And I can only speak to that because I felt that way. I used to always say, well, I don't really have trauma. And I came from a really great family. And, I had a great upbringing because I felt shame around saying anything bad about my parents or identifying things that happened to me as bad. And that kept me stuck from being able to go into the places that I needed to go into to heal, and recognizing that by talking about this stuff and by identifying childhood experiences that you had that caused pain and deep wounds, by witnessing my grandparents, who were invaded, in World War II, like those things played out in the family patterns. And coming from a family of 15, that, there was trauma in there and mixed in. Like when I was able to start to look at things and then break it down even to my immediate family, I started to see why I was behaving the way I was behaving and what I was avoiding in that pattern. So I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does what I just said. I think
Yes.
just because this conversation, we've done the work, we've all been doing this work, but I want to take our listeners to like, if this is the first time you're really thinking about family patterns, give yourself permission to compassionately look without feeling shame around identifying the experiences for yourself, for your siblings, for your parents, for your grandparents, and just give yourself space to explore it with compassion and gentleness, and release the
Yeah.
shame. And that might be easier said than done. This is a practice. It'll continue to unfold as you start to tippy toe into these waters of exploration.
I'd love to follow up on what I said earlier because you guys have triggered stuff in me. It's like, yes, I hear you. And I think when I first came on, I was relating it so much to addiction and mental health that I kind of erased my
Mhm.
childhood. So I am going to be real and raw here because I came from a family. I mean, my parents were loving. I had two parents, brother, sister. There was lots of love, but there was what you would call child abuse today.
Mhm.
Looking back, it was abusive, and I think it's because that's what my parents learned, and I don't blame them because I'm aware that, the whole generational repeat, it happens. And so there was a time for me where I was like, I'm done living. I want to die. And
Mhm.
I was in elementary school, maybe grade six. It was horrible because it was just so awful. But something triggered in me, and it's like, no. And I don't know what happened, But since then, I remember I could now say today, and I'm not going to give you all the freaking history because there's a lot, but I could tell you today, I could see the gift in what I received from my parents.
Hmm.
Um, they did the best they could with what they knew. When we know better, we do better. So I really worked hard to get where I am today, where I didn't bring that abuse into my family with my kids. Totally different. And I remember, God rest my parents' soul, my mom saying to me one day, she goes, "Wow, you're such a good mom. Where did you learn that?" And I said, from you,
No.
mom, And she didn't understand, but I didn't need to explain. There may have been things that happened in my childhood that I would never repeat, but I worked really hard to learn to be better. And so I think for me, it's taking those negatives, learning from it so that we could make it more of a positive and stop that generational trauma or whatever you want to call it. So, I just want to say thank you for bringing all that up. So it's like, wow, yeah, it's good to remember where you come from and what we've learned. And, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And that's what I love about this is
Yeah.
when we listen to other people's stories, we could relate at different levels. And, I'm hoping the people that are listening to us are thinking, oh, getting something from each and every one of us. I love this because it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with it.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
a lot has happened. And, and I agree, it's not about blaming. It's when we change the perspective of what happened to us and what we do with it that empowers us to be who we are so that we could be better people. Because, I mean, I've always said we're here to learn and love, and I am continuing to learn, and I really appreciate all of you and all our listeners. Thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Really beautifully
Learn and
said.
love and
Right.
learn ourselves, which is self-mastery. This is the work of self-mastery. Learn thyself and love thyself, because when I know myself and I love myself, I can love you and see you and meet you exactly where you are. So Sandra, thank you for saying that,
Mhm.
because I think that's actually a process that I take my clients through, and I walked myself through and still continue
Mhm.
to. When I'm met with a challenge, a family pattern, or something where I'm feeling hurt or it's triggering something within me, Luke always says there's a message in the mess, right? And
Yes.
this is part of the evolution of this work, is what you've just explained, is being able to um, identify with gratitude what you learned from what you didn't receive, or from the experience that you experienced. So you've been able to look at it from a place of, okay, this may have happened. I did experience abuse. What did that opportunity, that experience teach me? You're looking at the opportunity, the growth that you stepped into to be able to overcome and shift the perspective. And that's the beautiful thing of doing this deeper work, is it's not about blame. It's about actually recognizing our parents were just human beings, right? Our grandparents were just human beings, dealing with their own unhealed traumas, dealing with their own lived pain of and experiences that they never, just like us, were never taught how to process, didn't understand where to even begin, learned avoidance, learned to just overfunction, to just survive, whatever, right? Avoid and deny whatever the feelings are feeling. Um, and that's where we become disruptors. This work is, we are cycle breakers. We are disrupting these patterns, and we're doing it and learning to love ourselves, love our family members, even if they're not in our lives, whether they're past, whether we choose for them not to be in our life because they haven't done the work. Their patterns are still there, and we're no longer willing to have that energy in our lives. So it's a deeper, I just wanted to acknowledge that
Mm.
work, because that is the work that I do within my containers. I've done with myself, continue to do, and that's the evolution of doing this deeper work. You're disrupting these patterns, breaking the cycles for yourself and generations to come, your children's children's children. But you're also doing the work for the generations that came before you. So it's such beautiful and powerful work.
It is. Yeah. That I learned a lot too. It was really nice to listen
Mm-hmm.
to everybody's perspective and just that reminder that it is small and incremental, and exactly, we're just here to do better than the generation before. And if you're somebody that has the capacity to create that big change, that's amazing. But every little change, as we already said, but it's worth repeating, makes a really big difference. And you're going to notice the patterns when you're ready to notice the patterns.
Yeah.
I didn't notice much of my family dynamics at all. I was pretty numb to it, even though I was doing the work, because the work is never done. And with every year that I'm doing work on myself and therapy and contemplating and reflecting, something new is revealed to me. So even though we're all here speaking to you, and whether we're professionals in the work that we do, or whether we're professionals just in our hearts in the way that we're transmuting ourselves and healing our family, um, I'm not I'm not better. We're not better. We're just invested in the work, and maybe we really align with it and we're deeply passionate about it, but I'm still doing it. I still have lots of layers to uncover. I still have lots of patterns that I need to heal within myself. I didn't see the patterns even though I was 15 years into doing healing work, until my son was born, until the trigger or the stimulus appeared. And then I could start to see, wow, I don't know this version of myself. What is happening here? I don't like how I am reacting. I don't like how I'm behaving. Oh, all of a sudden I'm even expanding that lens and seeing, wow, maybe I actually don't like the whole dynamic, and what am I teaching here? And do I want to keep teaching that? And for me, that was like, how do I take responsibility for myself? And of course, the invitation is always there, as Luke said. When you're working on yourself, then yeah, you hope that you're going to inspire um, that change in someone else, so that you can be working on it together.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you're not noticing your patterns, if you're like, I don't have any patterns, which I've heard,
Yeah.
people say, but I had a great, ask somebody, ask your friends, ask your closest friends, ask a trusted family member, hey, do you notice any patterns? Like, what are you proud about our family and our patterns? And what do you think like needs some work? Like, what can we celebrate? And then what could maybe we could change and create something new instead, creating that new legacy. So it doesn't all have to come from you. It can come from conversation if you're able to have those conversations with your family. And if not, have them with your friends. And if not, have them with your therapist, like have them with somebody if you're curious about it, if you're interested in it. And whatever it is that you're doing an amazing job, and we're really proud of you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And
And
I just
that's
I
all I
just want
have
to
to say.
add, yeah, I want to add one little thing because I feel like this is just, we can get caught too in when we start doing this work to try to make other people in our family see the patterns,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and we
No.
can get ourselves into a
don't do
lot of
that.
Trouble.
mess,
Yeah.
right? Because Lainey, you nailed it, and that's why I thought I would just continue this a little bit because I know for me too, it's like I started to try to point out everybody else's patterns and the impact their patterns had on me. And it does not normally go well.
Mm-mm.
And really, what I learned from that process is it's not my job. It's not my responsibility to point out everybody else's patterns. My work is my responsibility to
Mhm.
shift and disrupt my own patterns through awareness, understanding, and compassion. And by me doing that and showing up, I'm no longer, I shouldn't say no longer triggered. I'm less triggered. And those
Mm,
triggers become less and less. It doesn't mean I'm never triggered again by my family or whatever, but it's that the responsibility is on my own healing and cycle breaking patterns. And
yeah.
in doing that, I get to show up differently. And when I show up differently, it's no longer about me managing my family patterns. It's me mentoring, it's me living by example, living what's in alignment with me, and it's their choice. Whether I'm not here to inspire them, maybe I will inspire them, but I'm not doing it to inspire them, to change them.
Mm-mm.
I'm doing it for me. And in doing, that's the intention, is I'm showing up fully in my understanding of who I am, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what patterns I'm breaking. And that's where the ripple effect happens. People often are inspired. People often see something, oh, wow, Jen's different. What's she doing differently? Like people notice your light, and it's also a
Yes.
frequency. It's an energetic frequency that starts to emit that is different. And people are either going to be inspired by it and want to learn more about what you're doing because they see the changes in a positive light, or, and I'm just going to say this, 'cause I think this is important, or you are going to trigger the shit out of those people that are in resistance to change because the pattern is deep within themselves, and you're triggering their wounds, and you're shaking the foundation that they are living at. And it can be quite explosive when we start to do this work. People will not want you to change because they see you in a one way, and it, when you start to change, it actually triggers their own feelings that are from trauma, inadequacy, not good enoughness, their own patterns. So I think it's important just to kind of give people that little blip.
Yeah.
This could be a whole
Remember,
other episode, but
it's
I
not
Yeah.
just, I
easy.
know I learned the hard way, and whatever, that's fine. That's my tendency. I like to learn the hard way.
Mhm.
Part of my pattern, but it's important to point out. It's like
Yeah.
focus on you and just show up doing you, and let people find their way, and they will, depending on their path and their choices.
Yeah. I just want to jump in one quickly before, because Jen, you pointing that out was amazing because when I first got sober in recovery, I wanted some of the stuff I was reading, I wanted to just hand over to other people. I was jumping outside of my hula hoop. And like I always like to look at my journey with recovery, with healing, breaking patterns. I do that in my hula hoop. And if people see it from the outside and they're curious, then that's okay. But like I can have people in my life be like, man, that's really like working out for you. And I love that for you. And that's all they're gonna say. And they will continue doing exactly what they're doing. But the compassion part of this is when we're having compassion for ourselves while we're trying to go through this healing journey. That's where I develop the compassion for people who I know and who I love that I see struggling on a daily basis, because I used to live there. And thank God something woke me up, because how sad is it for us to live our life in a way of not even knowing the patterns we're carrying and living the way we're living. And so I think that's such a very important thing Jen just pointed at. It's for us. It's, we can't push change on other people. And just one last thing I want to talk on this topic. Like, I read these three things. Your history is not your destiny. Good enough is good enough. Perfection isn't the goal. So just keep taking those little steps, like, Lainne was saying, we were all saying here. And every effort builds resilience and creates a healthier legacy. And I just want to everybody at those three.
Amen to
Beautiful.
that.
For Jen.
Uh,
As we were continuing, we've lost Jen. She's lost power and internet, and I don't even know if this has continued to record because
it
she was the
is.
recorder. Oh,
It is.
yay!
I'm the host now,
Are
and
you?
hopefully
Oh, Lainey, yay!
she'll be back. We're holding out for her to come back, but on that really powerful finish, I just love
Yes.
to remind people that the work is like everything that we talk about is pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
It's
And it's
hard.
Mhm.
okay. It's okay that it's not easy. Like, and being the disruptor, creating the change within your family, waking up and seeing, like, I'm not actually okay with this. I love this and I don't love this. Um, I'm glad that Jen brought that up because
Uh,
the work that you're doing, the work that we're doing, the changes that we're inspired to make, it's not easy. It does take a warrior spirit to move through
Amen.
all of these things that we talk about. And I think think, maybe we'll bring in that reminder more as, we talk about the word compassion a lot. And I think people hear that word and they think it's like light, or like it doesn't require a lot, but it requires so much strength to be compassionate to yourself and to others. So just, I'll wrap it up, but just the work is simple, but it's not easy. And we see the strength that you have within you to create the change. We see and we know, and we're tested daily, but the strength that we have within ourselves, building that resilience, like it's chopping wood, carrying chopping wood, carrying water is the
Yeah,
saying, right?
yeah,
I'm like, do you carry water?
yeah.
You do.
You got it.
Process.
You do. But that's work every day, right? To do that. And so it's okay that it's not easy. It doesn't mean that it's not worth doing, and doesn't mean you can't do it. So on that, I think we will wrap up our beautiful session today. That was great. It was so wonderful to hear everybody's thoughts on this topic. Like, it really, I feel like we could continue going forth and really diving deeper, but we have more episodes that we can we can
And I
dive
thought I
deeper
had
into
nothing to
topics,
say or
right?
contribute.
Right? And you have so much. You are a
Wow.
wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge.
And I love the pattern that we are creating in our podcast, because
Yeah.
there is a pattern. It isn't about anybody else. It's about what we do with ourselves. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you on episode 5.
Perfect. Bye, all.
Bye all.
If this episode moved something within you, please subscribe and leave a rating or review. It helps these conversations reach the hearts of those that need them most. And we also want to invite you to come and connect with us. Our social links are in the show notes. Follow us, come say hi, and share your story. We truly want to hear from you, because your story carries wisdom, your voice carries medicine, and your purpose is already unfolding. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. We heal, rise, and recover better together.